Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Diz Unplugged. In fact, this is episode number 1071 for the week of March 24th, 2020. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined in our little virtual Skype room by my good friends, Corey Martin.
I'm just happy to be here.
Corey Fiascanaro.
Hey, everybody.
And not Corey Williams.
Ahoy, hoy.
We got two Coreys. So we had one more. It would have been like the Corey show.
Right.
Welcome to the show, folks. This is, actually, while it's a Diz Unplugged episode 1071, it's coronavirus edition number 2, technically, of this show. Hence the reason we are all using Skype. This has been an adjustment for all of us. But as always, Craig Williams steps up and figures out how to make it work. To the best of our ability. This was not something that we ever planned on doing. But then again, I think we're all finding our lives are full of things we didn't expect we would ever be doing, like, being trapped inside our houses.
Yeah.
So hoping you all are doing well and taking this in stride. Kind of changing things up in terms of how we do these shows. Just because, I don't want to try and do a studio show via Skype because I think that just is stupid. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel. So we're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about the fact that Disney has extended their Sun and Fun offer through the end of August 31st, to be exact. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about what we think the impact is going to be on a lot of the construction projects Disney has been doing as a result of what's going on now. Whether we think those projects are going to continue, if some of them are going to be shelved, if so, which ones. Just do some speculation. And then just for fun, I thought we would talk about, since we're all stuck inside, and, we're all watching Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever our preferred streaming service is. So I thought, let's talk about some underrated Disney films that might be fun to catch up on or watch. I just watched Frozen 2 for the first time last night, and you can firmly count me in the camp of people that loved it. I know Rhino didn't. Craig, I wasn't sure about you.
Oh, no, I love Frozen. Frozen and Frozen 2. I've been defending it since the beginning.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's been on repeat. It's been on repeat in our house for
I'm sure.
a while.
Well, you got two little ones, so.
Yeah.
Fiasco, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've only seen it the one time in theaters, but I loved it. We played it the day it opened on Disney Plus for the Disney Plus release early, and it was just kind of on in the background while I was doing other stuff, but I love the movie.
All right, so we'll get to that in a little bit. First, let's just talk about this this extension of the Sun and Fun offer. Now, they had discounts running throughout summer prior to the shutdown. And somebody's dogs are barking somewhere.
That is across
is that
the
really
other building.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned last week that I had noticed that all discounts had ended on July 9th. Which I'm like, it just reminded me of what they did with Galaxy's Edge. Remember how we had all these great fall discounts? And then when Iger announced when Galaxy's Edge was going to open, all those discounts in September, October, November disappeared because they figured, okay, we're going to get all this rush of business. And I thought maybe they were doing that again, thinking that once this is done, the pent-up demand will drive business to the parks and that they would not have to offer those discounts. And while I do think there is pent-up demand, and we can certainly talk about that, I don't know that I don't even know that these discounts are going to be enough, because this discount is maxing out, I think, at 25%. Where you're finding the biggest savings, I did run some, anecdotal numbers. where you're finding the biggest savings are at the deluxe resorts. You're getting the 25% off there. So you're seeing, on average, $100 to $150 a night off. And that's great. At the moderates and the values, it's not quite as good. So maybe at the moderates, you're seeing $30 to $40 a night off. And maybe at the values, you're seeing about 20 or 25. So this is by no means a big discount. But it is them acknowledging that they're going to have to do something.
Right.
I think if you're interested in the summer, absolutely book one of these. Please book one. DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com.
I think we're going to see a lot of people, though. I mean, people that have been building up for, over a year in some cases for this vacation that they had to cancel. So I think people are going to jump on when things are cleared out, and I think a lot of people are going to say, you know what, we couldn't go in March, but let's take advantage of this.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, availability is going to be scarce, because you think of the people's vacations that were canceled this month, and potentially, next month. A huge chunk of those people are going to look to replan those trips. So in the coming weeks and in the coming months, I feel like availability is going to be shrinking.
Well, but the problem right now is the uncertainty, right?
Right.
That's why nobody wants to pull the trigger, because we really don't know. It would be one thing if we knew pretty safely, if all the experts were saying, hey, listen, this is going to peak in April, and by the end of May we should be back to normal. But nobody is saying that, right? They're saying they don't know. They don't know. So that uncertainty is what's keeping people from booking, and I completely get that. And I think once the news starts to indicate that maybe we've hit the peak, and now the number of new infections is dropping, which is not what we're seeing right now, that you will start to see more and more people. And I think that pent-up demand is there, and I think these rooms will fill depending on timing. But that's why I'm like, okay, right now there's a lot of good availability. When I ran this a little while ago, I don't have it up right now, but when I ran some numbers a little while ago, there was availability everywhere in virtually every room type. So this is a good time to grab it. This is a good time to grab it. Because as this goes on, I think that's going to start to fill. And don't worry if they release, especially if you're booking through Dreams, don't be too concerned if they release, a better discount. It's one of the things we're really good at Dreams Unlimited is going ahead and, aggressively applying those discounts when they come out. We're very, very good at that. Now, we never guarantee it because we can't guarantee Disney's availability, but we have a really good track record. So, and yes, I am absolutely encouraging everyone to book vacations, please. I'm not alone with other travel businesses that are experiencing the crunch here. But at the same time, never going to encourage people to do anything I think is outside their best interests. So right now, this is a pretty safe bet. If for whatever reason, let's say you book in August for August, and Disney doesn't, God forbid, we're still dealing with this in August. We can see that Disney's been good with changing their cancellation policies and not leaving anybody out in the cold. So you really don't run a lot of risk. I think the other thing probably right now that's keeping people from pulling the trigger is the uncertainty, not just around coronavirus, but also around the economy and what the impact to the economy is going to be.
Right, exactly. For many, the going to Disney is a necessity, but when you start looking at, your own finances, going, whoa, I don't know where my job's going to be. That's a real scary thing. I would love to book a cruise right now, but I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Not until we have a better idea. And I think that's the the whole thing. And I think that's where the frustration is building among folks. I know it's certainly true for me, the not knowing, right? We don't know. And that creates so much anxiety. And, you know, we all, for our own sanity, are going to have to learn to be okay with not knowing for a little while. And that's easier said than done, believe me. As a, tried and true control freak my entire life, not knowing how something's going to play out is something that gives me a lot of anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
So I get it. I get where people are, but I think it is telling that they have gone ahead and extended this offer. Maybe they heard me yelling through my screen last week and yelling at my screen last week. Like, what are you doing? Give us every tool we can right now. Don't take anything away from us. So, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But kind of let's kind of play off of that a little bit. Big question being asked everywhere is, what will the impact be on the construction projects? And I'm going to come to you first with this, Greg. What do you think the impact of this will be on all these construction projects? Obviously, you've got Tron being built at the Magic Kingdom. You've got Ratatouille going in, plus into Epcot, plus all the changes being made to Future World and Epcot right now, not to mention the planned rehab of Spaceship Earth. You've got all these things going on where they're getting ready for the 50th next year. So, Craig, I'll throw it over to you. What do you think we're looking at with a lot of these projects?
I definitely think that the projects that are well on their way to being finished and such, like Ratatouille and the progress they've made on Tron, I think those are all going to get done.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, even that to an extent as well too. I mean, that building, Universe of Energy, is still kind of a pit in terms of the front, and the roller coaster in the back. I can't speak for how much that's done inside, but overall, I feel like the projects that are long enough on the way right now, they're going to get completed the quickest, obviously, and without any real interruptions to the projects themselves. But beyond that, it's now going to get to the point where, a couple weeks ago, when if we thought this was going to be a couple weeks down and the world proceeds like it does after everything, then yeah, I'd say that most of the plans were going to stay intact. But now that it's looking like this is going on for quite a while, I think now's the time to be realistic and say, you know what, maybe the plans with Epcot's transformation aren't going to be as glamorous as they were originally. Maybe some things get cut out of there. Maybe some more projects just die completely without being spoken about, kind of like we had a couple years back with the theater on Main Street. I just feel like it's the longer this goes on, the more we're going to start to see go away if they're not actually far enough into the process yet.
Or high. I think like ones that are pretty close to being done. People in chat are saying I'm kind of delayed?
Yeah, you were fine before we went live. And
I even shut the kids' internet off and everything because I know Ferris was watching something on YouTube. So
Ferris is punishing you somehow.
Well, I paused all of their internet. My southern drawl.
Well, yeah, no, it's like you're. I feel like I'm having an acid flashback when I watch it. Like you're just like going in slow motion. Yeah. I'm like, okay, is this happening, or am I having an episode?
I'm gonna call back in. Want me to call back in?
I'll leave that to the producer.
You can if you want.
All right.
Yeah, why don't you try that, Corey? Go ahead.
All right.
What about you? Yeah, I agree with Craig. I think that things like Tron, things that they've really been getting their hands on for a while now, are going to continue as normal. I also think that regardless of how much they're able to do, they're going to want everything as polished as possible by the 50th anniversary for people planning those trips. And some things might be cut because of that and might not begin construction when they were supposed to. I think Mary Poppins over in the UK pavilion is probably a contender to not go forward right now. Just because from the looks of it, I mean, I was at Epcot 2.5 weeks ago, and it looked like they hadn't started on that at all. I'm pretty sure they haven't started on that at all. As well as Spaceship Earth. I mean, I think they're still going to go ahead with the refurb, but maybe not as soon as they thought. Because I feel like if they were to start a refurb on Spaceship Earth, say, later this summer, would they still have it ready by the time the 50th rolled around? And if the answer is no, I don't think they want that attraction to be down for the 50th.
Well, I can't seem to get a straight answer from people about whether or not construction is still going on right now. I'm assuming that it's not, because it would be irresponsible for Disney to put that many people on a work site, right? But I can't get a straight answer. So I think some of it is still going on, but yeah. I don't know that for a fact. That's just a feeling. And I mean, let's just look at this historically, and like what happened after 9/11. There was a whole nother section was supposed to be developed for Pop Century that had already started construction when 9/11 happened, and they stopped. And we used to joke. We joked for years. I think that building eventually became part of Art of Animation, if I'm not mistaken. But we joked for years. We called it Sarajevo because it was like a bombed out shell of a building. And there was also we had on very good authority, whether it was true or not, I don't know. But we had on good authority that prior to 9/11, they were planning to announce a 4th or 5th gate. It's be the Tragic Kingdom, right? The villain's theme park. That the plans had been drawn up, the site had been picked, they were getting ready to announce it and start clearing the land. And that obviously never happened. So historically, they have abandoned other projects that were in the works when there was a downturn. Now, that was 19 years ago, right? That was 2001. And they now have, they have more theme parks now than they had in 2001. And they have to figure how they're going to recoup this money. Because think about it. For those of us who were going to Disney in 2000, 2001, we know it's a lot more crowded now, right? How much more reasonably do they think they can draw in? How many more people can they draw even for the 50th? Will they see a bump? Yeah. But is it going to be the kind of bump they saw for the 25th? Right? That was what, 96? So I don't know that they can afford to abandon these projects. I think they're going to need.
Can you hear that?
Is a truck driving through your house? Where do you live? Do you live in a? Are you on a highway?
I'm on the 192, but yeah.
All right. Yeah, because yes, we could hear that. Absolutely. So I'm just, there's a part of me that says, sure, that some of these things, I think things that haven't started yet, like you were mentioning, are probably not going to. But I think the things that are in I don't think they can stop. I don't think they can stop from the standpoint of they are going to need to figure out how they're going to raise the revenue to make up for this loss. And that is going to happen. And I think it's much more likely to happen in price increases, in Cabanas in Tomorrowland type of projects, type of ideas. Because remember when Shanghai, went over budget. We talked about this before. When Shanghai went over budget, they were running around like chickens without their heads, trying to find ways to raise additional revenue. And so I think Guardians, Tron, Ratatouille. There's no way they cannot move forward with the changes to the changes to Future World. I mean, they literally have it. I mean, it's completely broken down. They have to finish. What are they going to do? They're going to have those construction walls up next October? I mean, so I think they have to move forward with those things. I really think where we're going to see it, I think we're going to see massive increases in the price of park tickets. I think we're going to see significant increases in the price of food and the price of merchandise. We're going to see, if we thought that Mickey's Not So Scary was crowded before, they're going to fill the park. They're going to fill the park. They're going to have to raise revenue somewhere because remember, they are a publicly traded company. And it has to be said, their first obligation is not to us, it's to their shareholders. And that's where they're going to be judged. That's in particular where Lex Luthor is going to be judged. So, I think we have Corey coming in. Somewhere, because remember, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm trying to see it. Am I?
I don't know.
All right, cool.
Talk, and we'll find out.
Yeah, I think the purple wall pictures are going to go away, and they're going to just be replaced with construction walls. I think that's going to be the newest thing. Make it a thing.
I don't know. Any other thoughts?
Oh wait, no. I was trying to see. Am I still garbled? And
no, you better.
Okay, good. No, I kind of missed a lot of what y'all was saying. I was trying to get my internet working better, but it is a double-edged sword because they're going to have to come up with this money to finish these projects, but they're also going to have that extra, new thing for people to come to find another reason to visit. There was Star Wars before, and now they're going to want, they're going to need these attractions completed. I think even more now, but how they do it, but it should be interesting. Ticket prices are going to be through the roof. Bring your own water too.
Yeah, he's still lagging a little bit. Not as bad as before, but
all right,
still lagging a little bit.
I'll bounce out.
And yeah, I would agree that they probably need to definitely finish Future World. But do you think they might skimp on it at all? Do you think it might be less extravagant than it was originally going to be?
I'll let you answer that, Craig.
Yeah, I think it has to be a little bit less extravagant at first, but that doesn't mean it can't come back around. So they can always add stuff back in later that they cut, but I don't think they can afford to. They can't afford to do anything half-effort right now. Everything that they sink their teeth into has to be. It has to be up to snuff, but they also can't. They're in a position where they're not going to be able to afford everything they could do in the past. I mean, because again, this isn't just the theme parks. There are so many areas of their business being affected right now. Like thank Bob Iger somewhere out there for even being smart enough to go forward with Disney Plus, because that's one of the only things working well for Disney right now is Disney Plus, and because they're struggling with movies not being able to be released right now, they're struggling with that. They're struggling with the theme parks. So without Disney Plus, this is a very different Disney.
Okay, so you're lagging now too. So, sorry, folks. It's just not much we can do about it at the moment. But yeah, well, let's talk about a lot of discussion about pent-up demand. It's a lot of discussion about pent-up demand. This kind of plays into this. What do we think? As you know, one of the things that I kind of realized for myself, but I'm also hearing it from other people, is that I think a lot of us are starting to realize we took Disney World for granted.
Yeah.
That we could basically hop on a plane when we wanted, or for us, hop in our cars and go, and it was just a constant. And nothing is more jarring, I think, to the psyche when something that you just always assumed was going to be there isn't. I remember feeling that really the first time when my dad passed away, right? Because like your parents were always there, and then one of them's not, and you suddenly realize, oh wait, wow. And I'm not comparing Disney World being closed to the death of my father, but just in the sense that I'm doing a lot of work right now on moving to Orlando, which if you are planning to move to Orlando, check out our Facebook group called Moving to Orlando. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. But I was writing something up about that and was talking about, when you move here, how cool it is to say, oh, I think I'm just going to hop over to Epcot and maybe, grab dinner, or just like walking around World Showcase for a little bit, and then I'll get in my car and go home. It's a very, very cool experience, but, we take it for granted. And even though I haven't been in the parks in a few weeks, and I'm not normally in the parks every day, the fact that it's closed and I can't go makes me want to go more. And the longer this goes on, the worse that feeling is going to be. And I think the three of you are probably feeling the same way, unless I'm wrong.
Oh yeah. You were taking it for granted, and not to be doom and gloom, but I always thought if something big was going to happen to Disney, whether it be a cruise ship or a theme park, I thought it was going to be like a terror attack. I never thought it was going to be something so massive like this, because this is, and I thought it would be more, just one. Like, oh, what are we going to do about Disneyland? Or what are we going to do about Cruise Line? But this is everything.
Fiasco, what about you?
It goes back to taking it for granted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Corey.
Oh, yeah, but go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I obviously just moved here.
Huh?
No,
I was singing Brady Bunch. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
One at a time. It's bad enough with this flag.
I just moved here about a year and a half ago, so I obviously moved here to be closer to the parks, and I'm already missed them already. I'm usually there quite often during the week. And I was just, talking to Haley last night about the things we missed. We missed, living with the land. We missed like Pete said, just stopping in Epcot for a bite to eat, stopping in even Disney Springs for a bite to eat. You can't really do that now either, or anywhere for that matter. But you definitely, whether you think it or not, you take these little conveniences for granted. And it's already definitely starting to hit hard of missing the parks and missing all the things that you do in the normal week.
Craig, you're always in the parks.
Yeah, I am, but I also, I don't want to sit here and try to act like, oh no, I don't miss the parks or anything, because of course I do, but at the same time, I hope that in these times that everyone is like actually taking stock of the things that they do have and really, really breaking down like what's important in life. Like, I know there's so many people who rely on like takeout and stuff, so I hope they're able to use this time to learn like, okay, well, let me cook for myself and experience how that can actually be a stress reliever and something that I enjoy, and become healthier because of it. Getting out and taking walks more often, because instead of instead of sitting back and, going to the movie theater or somewhere else, you're able to get out and do something that you didn't normally do. Like I've said it multiple times now that in my neighborhood, it seems like people are still going to the bike shop and buying bikes every day, because I've never seen so many people on bikes. I don't know why they're deciding to do so now. Like, I mean, I do know why, but it's like when everything was normal, you weren't prioritizing this stuff. So it's interesting how people are prioritizing other things now. But I think overall that's my entire takeaway from it. Yes, I do miss some stuff, but I've used this as an opportunity to really think about what's most important to me in my life and the people around me. And, I'm going to start looking at stuff like the parks and traveling as definitely it is something. It's not a priority for me necessarily. It is for work, but it's definitely a privilege thing that I'm lucky enough that I got to do it while it was here. But I'm not going to like, there's other important things.
And absolutely. I'm not saying that there aren't, but I just from the standpoint of the pent up demand, right? That I think the longer this goes on, the higher that pent up demand is going to get. And will it change my appreciation for Disney to the point where I stop criticizing them? Never. Never. But it does change my appreciation for it. For us, Disney isn't what we do for vacation. It's a lifestyle. It's a part of our lives. Right. So it's not as, for me, I'll speak only for myself. It's not as casual as, going out to dinner or something like that. Right. There's a deeper meaning there, and I think that's true for a lot of Disney fans. So I think that it's good. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Corey.
There's going to be some also pent up demand of families wanting some individual time. So, I think just spas are going to go crazy.
You're going to need to repeat that again because you lagged pretty bad.
I think there's going to be some pent up for families wanting to get away from each other too. So going to Disney and saying, all right, you kids go play in the pool. Mom and Dad's going to just sit right here. No tickets needed. Come to find out, Julie and I actually get along. Kids not so much, but Julie and I we get along. But there's going to be a lot of pent up demand, and I think all aspects of travel, people are just going to want to get away.
Okay.
But for what I do in a normal day, going to the parks, it involves a lot of walking. So I need to be really careful just being at home, because if I don't get out and get my steps in, my legs are going to just turn into mush. Because how much walking I normally do to how much walking I'm doing right now to how much walking I'll do when everything clears up. I got to make sure, and that's the type of lifestyle you live going to the parks like that. Get your steps in. Get out there and walk around in circles. I don't know, but keep those legs active.
Honestly, I don't want to leave the house. I'm just like, nope, I'm going to stay right here and let me know when this is done, and then I'll go outside. I'll go into my backyard. Okay?
Go for a good drive with all your windows down. It feels really good.
That I'm going to have to do. At some point, because there's some pictures I need to get, and I'm just going to have to go and drive and take these shots and not be near anybody, which is just so bizarre that that's the consideration now.
Yeah. It's a little around and not seeing anybody, or all the stores are closed.
Yeah, it's got to be. So, All right. I know you wanted to swap Julie out for this next discussion about underrated Disney films. So let's kind of get off this and go on to that. So we'll bring Julie in since they're in the same house together.
Julie, they say there's some sort of lag, so just take note.
There was no lag when he was explaining to Julie about the lag. So.
What's that?
There was no lag when he was explaining to Julie about the lag, so maybe.
Yeah, really.
Maybe we just
apologize for this. I just want to apologize to the audience for that. We don't have the same control over the stream this way as we do when we're all in the studio. But there she is, the lovely.
Hello.
Martin.
Hello.
When I told Corey we were going to talk about movies, he was like, "I'm out."
I don't believe she heard you.
There we go.
Oh, no, I was just saying.
I didn't hear anything. No.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that when I told Corey we're going to talk about movies, he was like, "I'm out." So I thought because we're all stuck at home and and there's Corey in the background, very bizarre. Since we're all stuck at home and we're all like streaming and watching things, I thought a good topic to talk about today would be underrated Disney films. Okay. So we'll start with you, Julie. What do you think some underrated Disney films are?
Well, I have not been watching as much TV. I've been outside gardening and working in my yard. So, but I did come up with a little list since Corey gave. The first thing that came to my mind were some of the ones that I watched as a little kid. So, The Brave Little Toaster would be one. I don't know if you guys were fans of that movie. It came out in 1987, so I was like 7 years old. But it's a cute little movie about a toaster, I think a lamp and a refrigerator and a couple of other things that go on an adventure together. And it's really cute. So, The Rescuers, which it did well when it came out. So, but I think nowadays kids don't watch that movie. And I think it's a really great movie to watch. It's about resilience and a little girl, a little orphan named Penny. Our Penny Marie is named for her. So that's on my list. Robin Hood. Everyone should watch Robin Hood. It's a wonderful movie. Also, Robin Hood. I sing a lot of these songs around my house. I mean, some of them are kind of depressing, but Emperor's New Groove would be like one from, I think it's 2000. And was it Cusco? So he would always say, "No touchy." That's perfect. That's a perfect quote for right now. Also great characters. Yzma, Cusco, and Kronk. You can't go wrong with that movie. And A Bug's Life and Princess and the Frog.
Good list. Good list. What about you, Yes? Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Julie.
I was just going to say, The Princess and the Frog, music, soundtracks, I'm all about that. It is set in New Orleans, so singing these songs really resonates with me and kind of brings me back. And then A Bug's Life, it came out when I was like 18. So I'm like going out into adulthood and at the theater watching this movie. So I guess it kind of reminds me of like a turning point of my life. But it's also just a really great movie with great villains, I feel like. And just a good message about perseverance and standing up to bullies.
Okay. Fiasco, what about you?
I'll start by saying I agree with all Julie's picks. I think they're all definitely in that category of underrated movies that I think are great. To add to it, I'd put Meet the Robinsons. I think that Meet the Robinsons never gets love, but it's a very inspirational movie. Makes me tear up quite a bit, and I think it's great. And then I would also, so I wouldn't even consider this really underrated anymore, but it definitely was at one point. But I think the diehard fans have really embraced it as a classic now, and that's Hercules. But I feel like when Hercules was new, it wasn't as appreciated as the other movies in its timeline. Another one that I feel like not a lot of people have seen in modern times is Big Hero 6. That's one of my favorite movies. I love Baymax. And also another thing is with Big Hero 6, I feel like all the supporting characters, you become attached to them just as much as if they were main characters, which I think is huge. Fox and the Hound, for like another old-time classic, I think is amazing. And then I would also include all of Julie's mentions too in my list. So yeah.
Okay. Craig?
See, I don't want to be a normal Craig here and just start disagreeing with everyone, but it's kind of funny to, like, when we're talking about movies that don't get enough love and stuff, it's kind of funny that we just rattled off a ton of animated movies that I feel like, even though they might not all be universally loved, I feel like, well, I know even just from watching chat that every time we mention a new movie, there's at least 10 people saying something about that last movie that was mentioned. So I think in our fan realms, it's everything animated is appreciated. So I would disagree that any of those are underrated in any way. I think they all have their different fans out there. But to answer the question, I guess for me, one of the things I've been doing every single night on Disney Plus is I haven't done it every night, but actually the past couple nights I've been trying to watch a different episode of something that's old. Like, they have the first 5 episodes of Mickey Mouse Club on there, and I watched those growing up when they were available, and it's been years since I've watched a lot of them. So I think I've watched the first 3 now that are available, and oh man, it's like, I can understand why it was popular back in the 50s, but it's tough to watch it today. And so I appreciate that. And then, that goes for some of the films in like the 70s and such. It's a lot of the deep cut classics that got it added to Disney Plus, but I shouldn't really call them classics because they're not. But good, they're all out there. But like, another one that I love that I talk about a lot on Connecting with Walt and have mentioned quite a bit in other places. It's on Disney Plus, Mr. Boogedy. If you have never watched Mr. Boogedy, now is the time. It's
never even heard of it.
It is a 50-minute short, not short, I guess, but not theatrical length, but it was made for Wonderful World of Disney, I believe, in the late 80s or early 90s, and it is... Oh, it's a hoot. So I would recommend watching that if you haven't seen it before. And I apologize I don't have a further list because we found out that we were going to talk about this right before the show. So
I have more.
Oh. Well, plenty of time to prepare, Julie.
Well, excuse me. I'm prepared for a birthday party tomorrow. I might be trying to make a blobfish cake. Oh, we'll see. I'm either gonna nail it or fail it. We'll see. No, because you said animated, so I thought of some that aren't animated just now, Craig. They're not written down. Swiss Family Robinson, I agree with. I've seen several people that have mentioned that. However, I feel like it's not as underrated anymore. I feel like more and more people are talking about it and watching it with their kids. At least I hope so. It's one of my favorite movies that I watched as a kid. I still watch it. I'm trying to think. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids I saw on here. Hello, great movie that kids probably don't watch today. I mean, who doesn't want to be the size of an ant for a day? Check it out.
See, now for me, being a little bit older than you guys, I'm going to say it's underrated or underappreciated, but you just don't hear it talked about a lot. My first exposure to films, well, one you can't see anymore. The other was 2 of the first Disney films I ever saw were A Song of the South and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. And Bedknobs and Broomsticks in particular, I remember like it was a surprise one day. God, what was I in, like 5th grade maybe? 5th or 6th grade? And they canceled classes and had everybody come to the auditorium, and we watched it in the school auditorium. It was kind of cool. And then they let us all go home early. I don't know what was going on. Don't remember what was going on. Maybe it was coronavirus. I don't know. But that movie always just has a really special place in my heart. I always felt that Hercules and The Hunchback of Notre Dame never got the love they deserved. I thought those were two particularly good films. Hercules, specifically the music. That music in that is just so good.
Go the Distance is just a bop.
It is. Well, even like just all of it, all the all the music in that I absolutely love. Not as much on Hunchback. I just thought the story and the voice acting in Hunchback was so spectacular. But a lot of the ones that you guys have mentioned, I haven't seen.
What?
I haven't seen. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do this topic. I needed a playlist.
I'll also
things to watch while I'm playing Animal Crossing. And there's Fiasco's dog neighbor.
Yeah, I'm muting my mic, but as soon as I unmuted it, the dog started freaking out again. But I'll wait.
This is just like a perfect storm for a broadcast. I mean, between internet issues and dogs and trucks and go ahead, Greg.
It puts into perspective when we complain about your lawnmower neighbor in the background. So have to point that out there. One of the things I wanted to mention is that I just started yesterday. I'm going to post daily on the Diz an article that not only rounds up what videos we released each day on our Diz Unplugged YouTube channel, as well as the Diz. If we don't release something on one of them, I'll post like a throwback in that, so you can maybe find something you didn't watch before, didn't know we had released. But then I'm also choosing at least like one thing Disney related that isn't something that maybe we uploaded. So for instance, yesterday, the video that I pointed out was it's called People and Places Disneyland USA, and it was a documentary that was released in '56 that basically showcased a brand new Disneyland in its first year, but in CinemaScope, and the quality of it is beautiful. And it was one of the features on one of the Walt Disney Treasures DVD sets that were released in the mid 2000s, and it's hard to come by it, but someone uploaded a copy of it to YouTube, and obviously they don't own it, so it could be removed at any point in time, but they uploaded a copy of it to YouTube, and you can watch it. And it is, even though it's stunning, the quality's a little bit degraded to what it would be if you were watching it on the DVD itself, but it is something I recommend. It will, it instantly just zaps into you this feeling of wanting to be at Disneyland back in the second year, when that park was still so new and completely different from what it is today. So I'm going to be doing that kind of every day, finding something random that I haven't watched before and sharing it with people as well too. So head to the Diz if you want to find that article and start catching up.
Yeah, it's funny. I with World End Land in particular, I wish I had been there when it first opened. Disneyland obviously was before I was born. I was still very young when World opened, but I think about that all the time. What it would have been like to be there on opening day, or at least in that first year, knowing what it is now and seeing where it started. So that's awesome, Craig. Thank you for that recommendation. I'm actually going to watch that as soon as we're done.
I have one recommendation too, now that my background noise is quieted down. If you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. It's called Waking Sleeping Beauty. It covers the animation studio between the 80s and 90s time frame. And it's a tearjerker, definitely. But it's very inspirational. And if you haven't watched it, it's one of the best things that I've seen in the past year. Yeah, I definitely recommend.
I had watched that when it first came out, and it is a phenomenal documentary that really talks about the the rebirth of the golden age of animation, right? That's thinking of the same one, yeah.
Yep, and it covers like the studio's transition into the Disney music we really know and love, like from the classics like Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Lion King, Aladdin, how they made that transition to much more catchy tunes and the foresight that they had going in it, because they have so much footage showing like Howard Ashman and stuff, and his direction and how he came up with the ideas he came up with. Like I remember this part where he is explaining to everybody on the team how the song Under the Sea is gonna go when like you transition it into the movie, and it's just like it's incredible. It's so good.
I think there's also a clip in there of him working with Jodie Benson.
Yep.
As she was recording her Part of Your World, and kind of really giving her that direction. And if you've ever been to any of our events where Jodie's been there, she talks about her relationship with Howard Ashman and how close they were, and really kind of just gives you a whole nother perspective on it. But I agree, that is a tremendous documentary, one of my favorites, and it's really rewatchable. But so is the Imagineering story on Disney Plus. That is eminently rewatchable. It is so good. So
we need more of that.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. That's going to do it for this week's show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we're going to try really hard next week to see if we can figure out where some of these issues are with the lag. I apologize for that. Nature of the beast right now, so just bear with us. But thanks for being with us, and we'll see you again next week with another episode of the Diz Unplugged. And remember, I don't have to tell you to stay out of the damn lakes because you can't leave the damn house. So, have a good one, folks.